Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We're from the fifth group. We will do a presentation about syntax. The fifth group consists of me, Anissa Aulia Rahmani, as the first speaker, Maftuha Hanum as the second speaker, and Vika Devani as the last speaker. First, we're gonna talk about what is syntax. Syntax is a branch of linguistics that studies the rules that determine how words form phrases and phrases form sentences. Etymologically, the syntax term is putting together words into groups of words or sentences and groups of words into sentences. In syntax, there are several parts of the sentence structure. They are subject, verb, object, complement, and adverb. There are 9 parts of syntax. The first is phrase, the second is clause, the third is sentence, the fourth is subject, the fifth is verb, the sixth is object, the seventh is complement, the eighth is adverb, and the last is adjective. First, we're gonna talk about phrase. Phrases are groups of words that have a function as a unit in a sentence. According to Richard et al. In his book, Year 1985, page 39, the phrase is defined as a phrase is a group of words which form a grammatical unit. A phrase doesn't contain a finite verb and doesn't have a subject and a predicate structure. There are 5 kinds of phrases. The first is noun phrases. A noun phrase is a noun or pronoun which is preceded by a determinant or article, or a noun which is preceded by one or more adjectives, all of which are preceded by an article. The example is the teacher. The teacher is the noun phrase. The second is verb phrase. A verb phrase is a phrase that consists of a combination of an auxiliary verb with a verb. Example is she has taken the job. Has taken is the auxiliary verb. The third is adjective phrase. Adjective phrase is a phrase that comes from adjectives that are used to characterize nouns or pronouns. The example is Buddy thinks the shampoo tastes awfully funny. Awfully funny is the adjective phrase. The fourth is adverb phrase. Adverbial phrases is a phrase that show the function as adverbs used to describe verbs. The example is Tom ran quickly. The quickly is an adverb phrase. And the last is prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase consists of preposition followed by a prepositional complement, which is normally used like to, in, at, for, etc. added by non-phrase. The example is the book on the bathroom floor is swollen from shower steam. On the bathroom floor is the prepositional phrase. And the next is clause. Richard et al. In his book Year 1985, page 29, tell that clause is a group of words which form a grammatical unit and which contain a subject and finite verb. There are 2 kinds of clauses. The first is independent clause, and the second is dependent clause. Independent clause is a clause that has a complex structure and has the potential to become a major sentence. The example is Annie sleeps well. And the dependent clause is clause that has an incomplete structure, usually accompanied by elements of subordinate conjunctions. A bound clause can also be defined as a clause that cannot stand alone as a perfect sentence, only has the potential to be an imperfect sentence. The example is because I forgot my homework. This is a sentence fragment. We have a because but not a why, or anything accompanying and following what happened because they forgot. And for the next speaker, Maftuha Hanum, time is yours.
Okay, the next discussion is about sentence. The sentence, according to Crystal, is as follows. The largest structural unit in terms of which the grammar of a language is organized. Trask defines the sentence, the largest linguistic unit which is held together by rigid grammatical rules. From these two quotes, it can be concluded that the sentence is the largest language unit whose formation is governed by grammar. There is the three types of sentence. The first is simple sentence. Angela Downing and Philip Locke argue that the simple sentence consists of basically one main clause. Main clause is the unit we consider primal, in that minimal grammatical completeness and unity. Simple sentence contains a subject and a verb, and it may also have an object and modifiers. However, it contains only one independent clause. The example is, he organized his sources by them. He is subject, organized is verb, his sources is object, by them is prepositional phrase. The second is compound sentence. The compound sentence consists basically of two main clauses. A compound sentence contains at least two independent clauses. These two independent clauses can be combined with a comma and a coordinating conjunction or with a semicolon. Here the example. She completed her literature review and she created her reference list. She completed her literature review is independent clause. The comma is comma or semicolon and is coordinating conjunction. And then she created her reference list is independent clause. The third is complex sentence. A complex sentence contains an independent or main clause and dependent or subordinate clause. The subordinate clause may be a noun clause, an adverb clause, or an adjective clause. A complex sentence contains at least one independent clause and at least one dependent clause. Dependent clauses can refer to the subject, who or which, the sequence or time, like since, while, or the causal elements, like because and if, of the independent clause. If a sentence begins with a dependent clause, note the comma after this clause. If, on the other hand, any sentence began with an independent clause, there is not a comma separating the two clauses. Here the example. Because he organized his sources by theme, it was easier for his readers to follow. Because he organized his sources by theme is dependent clause, comma is comma. It was easier for his readers to follow is independent clause. Note the comma in this sentence because it begins with a dependent clause. The next discussion is about subject. According to Quirk and Greenbaum, subject is normally noun, phrase, or a clause with normal function, occurs before the verb phrase in declarative clauses and immediately after the operator in questions, has number and person concur where applicable with the verb phrase. And Ellie van Gerdelen gives the sum of example from subject, like the moon has risen in the sky. There are 5 unicorns in parking lot. The moon is subject and the 5 unicorns is the subject. Next discussion is about verb. Verbs are predicates in sentence and verbs serve as an explanation of what the subject is doing in the form of a noun in a sentence. The example is she loved to drive the sport car. Love is verb, and there is some part of verb. There are stative verb, dynamic verb, durative dynamic verb, punctual dynamic verb, italic dynamic verb, italic dynamic verb, even dynamic verb, processes dynamic verb, intransitive verb, and the last is transitive verb. And the next discussion is about object. In English, the object is called a direct object. Direct object is a noun or pronoun that receives the action of a verb or shows the result of the action. It answers the questions what or whom. After an action verb with a direct object is called a transitive verb. And the example is she had given the boy an apple. The boy is object. Okay, the next discussion will be described with Sister Rika Devani. The time is yours.
Next is complement. According to Sujatna, two types of complement is a subject complement and object complement. Subject complement is a complement to the predicate that refers to the subject. For the example is Caddy is my cat. My cat is subject complement. And then object complement. Object complement is a complement that examines predicate action referring to the direct object. For the example, I called my cat Caddy. Caddy is object complement. Next is adverbial or adverb. According to Sujatna, add information to another word such as an adjective or another adverb. In English, adverb usually end with the ending ly in the adjective. Based on its function, adverbials can be divided into A. Adverb of manner. For the example, carefully, slowly. B is adverb of place. For the example, here and there. C is adverb of time. For the example, now and yesterday. And then adjective. Burton says that adjective that adds to the meaning of a noun or pronoun is said qualify the noun or pronoun. Helen and Nimon. Adjectives are words that function to describe nouns and pronouns. For the example is Henry is a diligent student. According to Sydney, in their book A Student's Grammar of the English Language, read that there are several characteristics of adjectives, some from their function, namely as follows. A. They can freely occur in attributive function. They can pre-modify a noun. For the example, he is a very good actor. B. They can occur in predicative function. They can function as subject complement or as object complement. Example, the acting was brilliant.